All right, so welcome once again, colleagues. I think we'll continue from where we left off 2 days ago on our digital marketing training. So once again, we'll do the housekeeping. If you need any clarification, just unmute yourself and then let your voice be heard. Otherwise, you can also use the chat box also to type in any message. So this afternoon's session is going to be on the SEO and then keyword strategy part 2. But before we do that, I would like to do a very quick recap of what we did, and then a very quick one, then we'll zoom in on today's session. So 2 days ago, we looked at the main outline was on what and why search engine optimization. And if you recall, I talked about the fact that this is mainly an organic search, and it's a strategy that you must really have as part of your digital marketing operations. And that the most important thing about SEOs is that you need to have a very functional website running, and that's where you're going to do all kinds of things, because that's your business hub and the foundation for your SEO strategy. And also we talked about the fact that you must let SEO be part of your overall business strategy. So we went on to look at the organic search and then its traffic, related traffic as well. Then we looked at elements of search engine optimization. And then we looked at how search engines work, and then also looked at the first part of keyword strategy, that was the search intent. We will do a quick flip through of the slides, and then it will remind you accordingly. Then we did the other aspects of the keyword strategy, in fact, the first part, and then we said this week, today we'll continue with the second part of the keyword strategy, mainly on the topic clusters. But let's just do a quick run through of what I just mentioned by way of the outline. So as I said, we talked about SEO and then mentioned the fact that it's a process for the design and then the content performance as far as in addition to your link structure to improve your website's ranking and then visibility. And this is mainly resulting from your own media. We talked about the fact that we have own media, paid media, and earned media. And search engine optimization mainly dwells on your own media, which in this particular case, your website. So we looked at why SEOs, and then also looked at what organic searches are and the traffic that it brings to your site, and the importance of corporate websites. We looked at that. Also touched on the 5 reasons of organic traffic, and then looked at the relationship between search engine optimization and then your business strategy, as I mentioned earlier. We also looked at the elements of SEO, and we talked about the fact that there's an on-page, there are 3 main key elements of search engine optimization. And for you to do a very holistic work of SEO, then you must have all these 3 working in tandem. They are very much integrated. So one, as you can see on the screen, is the on-page SEO, which will typically establish your site's quality or your page quality. Then also the off-site SEO, which will establish your site's authority when you have this backlinks with other authoritative sites and social media sites, and so on and so forth. And then we also looked at the technical aspects of the SEO, which we talked about, your design, your layout, your coding, the user experience, your site speed, your mobile friendliness, and so on and so forth. So all these, when put together, then you have a very holistic SEO as a strategy. So we proceeded then to look at how search engines work, and then we talked about the fact that it involves this crawling, indexing, and ranking. We've sent the link. I'm sure you can go back and then refresh your minds accordingly. And also talked about the search intent, as I mentioned earlier on in the outline, and the various types of search intent as part of our keyword strategy. And we talked about the fact that we have 4 key search intents when typically a customer, a prospect, or somebody does a search query on any of the search engines. And in this case, we dwell so much on the Google search engine. So they are mainly the informational, the commercial, investigation, navigational, and then the transaction. And we talked about the fact that information, especially when a prospect or client visits your site or does any search query and needs some form of information about your products and services, this this will inform the intent in which that the person is doing to do that search query. Then we also talked about the commercial aspect that basically compares various services and products that you may have. So if somebody is doing any form of search and they use some kinds of words like the best, products or best stores or best hotel or that kind of thing, then you immediately see that the search intent is of a commercial investigation nature. Then we also talked about the navigational one, which really is about brand awareness. The person might have been very much aware of your brand already, so when they are doing those search queries, then they are zooming in directly on your brand. So they'll be typically be looking at maybe your packages, your your products and services, and so on and so forth, because they know you already. And then the transaction aspect of the search intent, which mainly is about purchase, and you typically find words like buy and then purchase and so on and so forth. So we touched on these 4 search intents as part of our keyword strategy. So once again, the slides were sent, and then the link is also there for you to go back to look at it even in much more detail to refresh your memory. So we also looked at the search intent and then the customer journey map and how they relate, and then proceeded with identification of certain search intent words that you typically find, prospects or customers use. So as I mentioned, if it's about information, you'll be using, words like how, what, who, where. And if it's navigational, you can see on your screen all those words that will typically, inform their search queries. So then we proceeded to the keyword research strategy part 1. In fact, the search intent is a major part of the keyword research strategy part 1. But we delved deeper into what really keyword research is, and then looked at the various types, the fat heads, the chunky middle, the long tail keywords. So we proceeded by looking at how to perform a keyword research, and all these were explained in detail. We also looked at the keyword research tools, as you can see on your screen, and how you can use to do your various analytics and then keyword research. And we also touched on the various metrics that we use in deciding on which keyword ranks better or will work better for our content development on our various web pages. So we looked at the volume, the difficulty, and the click-through rate. And you can see the various parameters that one will typically consider when choosing keywords. So the metrics, the search intent, the customer journey, and then who else is ranking, then the importance to your business strategy. So today we are going to look at the part 2 of the keyword strategy, and that's on topic clusters. So what are topic clusters? So topic clusters typically is a different way of thinking of your website content. And it will also inform you how you can organize or reorganize the structure of your website. Typically, if you do the keyword research and you are building a content, if you are optimizing your on-site or on-page content as far as the SEO is concerned, you typically have in your content, the keywords scattered all over throughout your content on your various web pages. But this is another strategy or new way of looking at restructuring the content on your website. And this will also take into account, of course, your keywords, and we'll get to that as we proceed. It also focuses on topics as opposed to keywords. So you typically find a topic cluster strategy being structured in the form of you having what you call a pillar topic or a primary topic, then under it you have various subtopics. We will talk about it in detail as we move on. So what this does is that it makes it easier for your customers or those who are doing those search queries to understand the contents better. And then also when you have these crawlers or spiders that scan the internet for content, if they find that your site is very much well organized by way of this topic clusters, they tend to understand it better, and it will help in the indexation and then the ranking. And of course, ultimately, what you'll be looking out for is to increase your visibility, drive traffic towards your website as much as possible. And what it does is it also keeps visitors to your site and enhances engagement and then the relevance. Because once somebody comes to your website and they see that it's very much organized, then it increases or enhances the engagement. So it becomes very relevant when these bots and spiders are, scanning the internet for content or scanning websites for content. Then they see that yours is very relevant because people come there and then stay on for a long period. On the screen below is a website, HubSpot video. Maybe after the session, you can click on this or copy this and then, go to this site, and then it will educate you even more on what topic clusters are. So mainly, they will keep your audiences on your site. And as I said, you have tons of content that will be related to your visitors' interest if you go about this type of keyword strategy, the topic clusters. And the chances are that they will be more likely to stick around most of the time and then make purchase from you. So the other thing about the topic cluster strategy, keyword strategy, is that when you embark on this, if you have one page that does very well, it automatically makes the other pages on your website also rank very well if they are linked together. So you can link them and then backlink them. So if you go about it this way, then ultimately it's going to make your site and your pages, very, very relevant, as I mentioned earlier on. So creating content around the topic will often improve the search rankings. I've said it many times anyway. And other similar content that you have on your site, of course, will also rank very high. So that's the second importance of a topic cluster. And I've also mentioned about the fact that they will also help bring in more traffic. Now, this is typically how it will look like. If you have a topic cluster by way of your content on your web pages, on your left-hand side, at least from where I am presenting, you see before. So before you embark on a topic cluster strategy or keyword strategy, you see the contents together with the keywords all scattered down there in the box. But if you go about it in a topic cluster way, then you see that you have a primary topic on top. In this case, we are saying like HubSpot.com. So on the HubSpot, you have subtopics under it. So you can write all the content around each of the subtopics. So to make it even more interesting, you may be, as part of your business strategy, probably you'll be considering maybe the coming year to be doing, say, a lot more group tours. So group tours will typically be your primary topic. So under it, you need to have subtopics or sub-tours under it. So if you have group tour, you can have, say, family vacation tours, or you can have, incentive tours, or you can have adventure tours, and so on and so forth. Or even if you are a hotelier, you probably, as part of your services, may be looking at what the year is bringing by way of 2021. If you are so much into conferencing and banqueting, then you have your hotel operations and then services there as a primary topic. Then you can have conferencing, banqueting, if it's about, if you have a resort and then you do other kinds of, tour activities by way of staycation at your area. You can also, clearly indicate them by subtopics. So if you are writing or doing your content on your pages, so if you can have your hotel and then the services as the main primary topic, then under it, if it's about conferencing and banqueting, you write content that will cover or that will be relevant to content, conferencing and banqueting. And then if you have some tours also included in that, you can also write content that will inform that. So on your pages, typically you have almost all your services that in the coming year by way of your business strategy very much addressed on page by page basis. And you can easily link them to the main hotel services through backlinks. And of course, you can also link them from the hotel to the various services. So if anybody does any search query, then you will definitely be found, whichever form or shape that the person is looking at, depending on the person's search intent, because you might have covered everything, every aspect of your business operations accordingly. So there are about 7 steps that one can undertake to embark on this aspect of keyword strategy, the topic cluster. So first, you need to define the content topics or themes. As I said, you need to define your business interests, maybe for the coming year, what you really want to go into. So that becomes the main theme or the overarching theme that you'll be executing. So under it, then you can strategize and have the various subtopics. So on your website, you have your main topic or the title or theme of your business operation there. Then you can do your content writing informed by certain keywords anyway. So you will typically have your introduction written down, and then you proceed and then segment them into the various subtopics. Then the subtopics, you can proceed to have them on various pages and then write content about them in details. So you can have subtopics of your operations or services under your main service accordingly, and then create different pages for those subtopics and then write also in detail about them. So what you do is that eventually you will link them to the main primary topic. So if anybody does any form of search query, then it can take them to the pages of interest accordingly. And then in that case, then you might have optimized your web pages accordingly by way of search engine optimization. The other thing is that if you may also have a website with an existing content, but then you embark on this topic cluster strategy. So what you have to do is that you might have done, if you do a site audit or page audit on your site, and you realize that it's something that is worth re-looking at it, then fine, you can do that. But if it is something that you need to reconfigure things so that the content that you have, you can map it to your new topic cluster strategy, then you can do that accordingly. But it should be informed by analytics and then research anyway. So the fourth aspect in the development of a topic cluster strategy is also to perform a keyword research to determine the best subtopic. So even after having your main primary topic and then the subtopics, it will not end there. You still have to do a keyword research. And earlier on, we talked about the fact that there are various tools that you can use to do a keyword research. So if you use those tools to do those keyword research based on your subtopics, then you see whether they rank very well, and it will be also very relevant, and it serves as much as possible your business interest. So you can have a spreadsheet of all these. So you can have, some volumes of keyword research there from which you have to choose from based on the metrics that we've talked about. And then, of course, matching your business interest too. Then, after settling on the appropriate keyword research, then this is where the optimization comes in. So you have your keyword research, then within your subtopic that you are going to write your content about, you optimize it, you make sure that they are very relevant to those keywords that you have settled on. And as I said, once you do all these things, then you will be implementing what we call the link structure by integrating the main topic with the various subtopics, and then also the reverse as well. But then in all these things, it's a continuous thing that you have to do. You don't stop there, because it is something that you are nurturing your website by way of the search engine optimization strategy. So you have to, at regular intervals, measure and improve your content by doing some tests using those tools that we talked about earlier on, and we'll share a lot of them too as we move on, or at the tail end of the slides. So you can do content analysis to see whether people are really searching for those keywords that you have in your content on your web pages. So a bit more in detail is what you have here. So you define your content topics or theme. I've given a bit more detail on how to go about it. And then you strategize by way of your subtopics. Also, I mentioned the fact that some of the keywords that you have to use, you can probably, depending on your business strategy, you should be looking at a combination of a long tail keyword, or what you call the fat head, that short one, so that it can serve both your long-term interest and then the short-term interest as well. But we will look at different ways to come up with these keyword ideas as we proceed. And then this will be done with some spreadsheets. So I will walk you through as we proceed. And we also talked about mapping your existing pages to your topic clusters. We also talked about performing a keyword research to determine the best subtopic that you can settle on by way of your content development. And then having done that, you write and then optimize. And of course, the last but not the least, you implement a linking structure, as I've mentioned before. There is, in fact, if you look down the sidebar for 14 days free trial, there's a website there that currently, if you want to look at how your website is doing by way of its structure, link structure, the various pages, if you go on this site and then you sign on and then key in your website, it will tell you whether your website structure or link structure is doing very well or not doing very well. And you know what to do accordingly. So the last aspect of the topic cluster is the measurement and then the improvement. We've talked about it earlier on, but we'll even look at it more in detail when we do the Google Analytics somewhere January or February. So on the screen now, you can see a website that you can visit after this presentation or lessons to even go into in-depth detail about how the topic cluster example, is. So now, having talked about all these, let's now zoom in onto are various websites. Now you are on your website, assuming you have it now, or you are even going to develop it now. How do you optimize the content? We've talked about the fact that you need to, undertake all this topic cluster strategy and then the search intent strategy. And these are all part of the keywords research and then the strategy. But having done all this, you need to use that to develop your content on your website pages. So how do you go about the on-page optimization? Earlier on, we mentioned three key elements of search engine optimization. We talked about the on-site or on-page optimization. We also talked about the technical SEO and then also talked about off-site optimization. Now we are zooming in more on the on-page or on-site optimization. So the thing about this aspect is that it is very much within the control of you, the business operator. If you look at the technical SEO, for instance, that's where typically you find the webmasters and people with the back-end knowledge doing that for you in terms of the coding and all the other technical things that you do. But when it comes to the on-page optimization, either you embark on all these services operations, or you can, through other marketing or search engine optimization companies, they can help you or assist you in doing that. So what you would typically embark on is, even if you are trying your hands on it yourself, you have to look at it from the end user's perspective, your prospect, your bio persona. So look at it from his or her perspective, but don't be too fixated on building or optimizing your content on your site or website pages for search engines. Because if you do that, as you can see, they are not built for, they are indeed built for people or customers or your prospects. They are not built for mainly for web search engines. But you must have a fine balance, because at the end of the day, what even though you are looking at the interest of your prospects or people who you would want to visit your site, you are also looking at the fact that there are some indicators that the search engines, when they bring their crawlers and then their spiders there, they'll be able to pick it and then rank you, appropriately. And even in addition, you must also be looking at your own business interests, because in all this, you have a business to operate and you must have also a business goal. So the three interests, there must be a very fine balance in doing this kind of optimization. In this case, as we look at the on-page optimization. So what are some of the things that you typically do when you are optimizing your page or your website pages? So the first thing, or one of the things that you should be looking at, is your title. On each page, for instance, if you are a tour operator, or you are a hotelier, or you are into food and beverage, or you are a car renter, then on your website, you have different pages, but then the different pages, you have some titles there. They call it title tag. Now, what Google is saying is that the ideal length for this title tag should be between 50 to 60 characters, or 587 pixels. So if you look down there, somebody did a search, or there's an example of a search down there, which is in blue, underlined. And the title is too long. In fact, it's more than the 60 character cap. So what Google will do is that it will cut it off. So you see the three dots at the end of it. So this should inform you that in coming up with titles for your page optimization, you don't have to let it be too long. So the guide is that it should be between 50 and 60. So that is very, very important. Otherwise, if you bring it more than that, Google cuts it off. And then if somebody is doing a search query, and then even if you pop up within that search query and you rank even very high, the person may not even see in complete detail what your title is. Then probably my exit. So these are some of the tips and then the strategies that should inform when you are optimizing your page. The other thing too is that on this same title tag, you should do it in such a way that your search intent, and remember we talked about search intent, informational, we talked about navigational, commercial, and transactional, and certain words that are used for each of those search intents. So for this particular one, if you look at the title tag, you typically see that said how to start a blog. So for instance, if you have a site and it's a hotel, and probably you are saying you are writing a content or optimizing your page on your hotel service operation, you probably will say how to maybe book our services. Okay. The thing about the how to is that immediately it gives you, the closer that you have that keyword at the beginning of that title, it carries more weight in search engines rather than having it maybe at the tail end of the middle. So if you look at those two um, titles that you have there, one starts with how to start a blog. The second one is free tutorial shows anyone how to start a blog. So Google is saying that the most appropriate one or preferred one that you have to be doing is that you start with the how or what or why. In that case, it gives it more weight, and then the search engines will even rank it better. So these are some of the things that you should note when you are doing your on-page optimization. The other thing is also about your URL. The URL, as I mentioned earlier, is Uniform Resource Locator. So you typically find that your people will say your website address or URL, then you can mention, but every page has also a URL. So if you are optimizing your website, you see that every single page will have its own URL. This is a back end thing, you typically not see it. People will see the main website address, but every page has a URL. So what Google is saying that as part of your on-page optimization, it must be SEO friendly structure and it must be easy to read. So what you will do is that in your keyword research, you must, as much as possible, for those pages, let some of the keywords that rank higher feature in your URLs. And they must be hyphenated, not using underscore. These are technical things that your webmaster should help you, come up with. But of course, if you have the knowledge, it's very, very important so that in the event that you have a webmaster or somebody supporting you who is not too savvy in these areas, then you have the knowledge in this, then you can also advise accordingly. So that's an aspect. Then the other aspect is the H tags also. So we've talked about this title tags anyway. They are mainly for the headline, and therefore your title should be wrapped around this tag. We've talked about it already. Google is once again saying that the purpose of this H tag is to tell Google how the content is structured for readability. So it is very, very important. And it goes on further to say that the title describes the topic of the post, and then it will be followed by the subheadings, which will further explain what goes in detail about the topic. So you can have your main title of the title page, then you can have your subtopics as well. But the subtopics are defined by what we see the H2, H3, H4 tags. So as I mentioned, your main topic between 50 and 60 shouldn't be longer than that. Then you have your subtopics also, the H2, H3. And that's what those are the ones you call your H tags are your subheadings. And they should be used throughout the body of your text so that it can structure your content in a very logical flow. So you don't jam or mix everything together. It's just like doing a write-up. You can't just mix everything up, but if you split it with various subtitles or subheadings, then it makes it readable. So then it makes it even more user-friendly. And as I said, even if the crawlers and then the spiders come, scanning for content, or it makes it easier for them, and you can rank very high. So we'll move on to the other aspect of the on-page optimization. So there's this also that we call meta description. So the meta description, let me take you a little bit back here. So you see it on this title tag, and then you have the title there. The write-up that you see there, learn how to start a blog and become a blogger, and so on and so on forth. That is what we call the meta description. So Google is saying that the meta description should not be more than 160 characters long. So it is important that when you are doing the write-up or the content under your subtopics, it is important that you limit them to 160 characters, and it shouldn't be more than that. Otherwise, you'll be penalized by that, and your page will not rank very well. So what you can do, if you want to do some tests, you can test your page title and the meta description of your page, but by using this tool down there. You can see I'm hovering the cursor on the site. You can go in here and then type in your website, and then can give you all these details as far as how your title page and then the meta description are doing on your various pages. Now, once again, on the on-page optimization, you typically also find that we will have images, and people will have lots of images on their pages. But oftentimes, what happens is that they don't even have description or titles of these images. And Google is saying that that is not good enough, because when they are doing the ranking, these are very much taken into consideration. So you can't just slam images there and then expect the bots and the spiders to read them. So what they recommend is that you optimize it through what we call alt text. So this one gives a description of the images. Once again, these things can be done with the help of your webmaster, or of course, if you contact the search engine optimization agencies, they can easily assist in that respect. But the most important thing, that you must have knowledge of this and how it works, so that you can guide them accordingly. The other aspect is the anchor text. So the anchor text is also the text that you add to a link. So oftentimes you see on various pages within the content, there are some words that are underlined. So if you look on the screen where you have the box, your content, you see build awareness, it is underlined. So that is what we call anchor text. But the thing about this is that it must be informed by the relevant keyword. So you just don't go about doing anchor testing, but you settle on anchor text that is keyword driven. So once a user clicks on that anchor text, it will take him or her to the page or the relevant page. In this case, it will be a landing page that is of relevance. So as you even read the content and the text, you see very relevant or number of anchor texts within the content itself. So if you are interested in that or going further into this, then you click on it, it takes you to that page, and then you can even read in more detail. And these are all linked together. So those are some of the things that you must also take note of. Now, on the main body or the content that you also be putting on your pages, this is what we call as part of the on-page optimization. You also have to ensure that you need to rank for. You must make sure the keywords that you want to rank for are included in the first 100 words of content. So if you go about writing the content or developing the content, then ensure that those keywords that you've gone through all the research and then settled on them as very relevant, they must feature in the first 100 words that you put there as content. Because there's no point in you going through all this research and then the strategy and then write so much, and the keywords that are relevant, they don't even feature in the first 100 words. This one, Google can penalize you, so take note of that, and you will not rank well anyway. And also make sure that your primary and the secondary keywords are within your body copy or the text that you are writing. They feature prominently. But The thing too is that don't go about within, even though we are saying that it should feature within the first 100 words, then almost every sentence, everything is featuring keyword. In that case, then Google will also realize that this is artificially being done so that you can rank. Well, in that case, you'll be penalized and you will not even be ranked at all. And as much as possible, also try and then bold or add your keyword to bullet points that you have as part of your content development on your on-page optimization. So in summary, you can have some of these as a guide for you. So you typically will see the title tag. It's very, very important. Look at the key down there. Your title tag is very, very important. Then you have the description beneath the title tag. That's what you typically have, the meta description there. Then you also have your URL there. And then once again on the pages, you see the heading and then the body, then the image with the image name, as we talked about, alt text that describes the image, and then of course your subheadings. And then beneath there you have your anchor text, all within your content. So this is part of like a, indicators of very good performing optimized page on your website. This is a summary of it. So you can take a look at it. So as you go about some of these learnings or practice, this will inform you accordingly. Now, having talked about all these, there's also an aspect that we call local search engine optimization. There's what we have, the regular search engine optimization. That is a bit more global in nature or perspective when you are going about the search engine optimization strategy. But typically in various search queries, the way Google works and then ranks, it takes also into consideration what we call your geographical location. So the local SEO is specific for a given location. So for instance, in Ghana or Accra, if you are doing any search on tour operators, typically our location within Ghana or Accra or wherever you find yourself, Kumasi, Takoradi, it will feature very strongly by way of the searches that will be done. So what this strategy is all about is that you must have pages on your website that will address specific locations for your operation. So if you have a business operation in Accra, for instance, then you must have a page on your website with emphasis on your location, Accra, within your business operation. If you are blessed to have businesses in multiple locations, that's in Accra, maybe Kumasi, Takoradi, then you must have pages that address these specific locations, because Google takes into account these local geographical locations in its rankings. So you must be informed accordingly in your content development and your strategy development. So it is very, very important. But in this case, let's say for micro, small, medium scale enterprises, as most of us fall under, we typically have one location. So that is the more reason why this one should even be easier for you to embark on. Local SEO, don't forget about it. It's very, very important. But even more important that we'll look in subsequent slides is about the Google My Business. But let's just finish with this local SEO and then what it does. So why local SEO? So we are saying that local, it is highly relevant for businesses, and then especially within the tourism industry. And this can provide you with a huge influx of targeted organic search traffic. That is if you do it properly. So we've talked about organic search. That one, you don't pay for anything. People will typically do search queries, and then depending on how you have gone about your search engine optimization, you come up very, very strongly, okay, on your website. So the local SEO is very, very useful in this respect, especially the organic searches, as I talked about. So in order to rank in Google local results, you first need a location set up for your business. I've mentioned this and I'm repeating it because it's the most basic starting point. But as I said, of course, if you have multiple locations, then you must do it for the multiple locations accordingly. So the factors for the local SEO ranking that Google takes into account will typically cover the following: relevance, how well your local business profile matches what someone is searching for. And we'll talk about your business profile in Google My Business in the subsequent slides. And then the distance where the person is doing the search and then where the business is located is also very, very important in the local SEO ranking. There's also the prominence aspect. The prominence means the reviews that are done on your products and services or your business. Okay, this includes your links and then backlinks with other, social media sites. So we've talked about a bit more about the local SEO. Now, for your website, let's zoom in a bit more as far as the local SEO is concerned. So what is required is that you create landing pages for each of the locations if you have multiple locations. If you have a single location, that's fine. But try as much as possible to create what you call landing page. This landing page, if somebody does a search and your local SEO is done properly, it will take the person directly to that page. And that page will include or will have specific information that will specify the city. It will also have what we call the geographical modifier. For instance, if it's Accra, then your keyword must, modify or qualify that particular location in the page title. It will also have address, phone number of the business, and as I mentioned, the reviews collected from Google My Business will get to that profile for this location. You also look at the Google map. You can do that and then have it embedded on your site. And then if you have also relevant tools, you can also incorporate that. Trips and other services for this location, you include that. Your images and then the videos from this specification or this specific location, can also be included accordingly. So this is a situation where if you find yourself operating in multiple locations, you can really take advantage of. But of course, if you are in one location too, you can also take advantage of this accordingly. Now, I mentioned Google My Business. So now let's zoom in on Google My Business. So this is, maybe some of you already have Google My Business, or you have an account there, or you are profiled there. So this is a free tool for creating business profile on Google. So far, we've talked a lot about Google, and admittedly, when you talk about search engines, Google commands about 90% of the market share. I've mentioned this before. So a lot of the operations are informed, or our strategy are informed by, Google's presence anyway. So with Google My Business or GMB, you can rank very high on search queries when organic searches are done with certain specific keywords. So it is something that is worth doing. And it's not, you can just, if you go on any of the queries or browsers and you type Google My Business, it's something that you can easily go through it and then complete it. So when you do it, this is what typically, if you are profiled or you have your profile on Google My Business, this is how it will show in that red box down there. So you see all the reviews and then that people have done, or if people have patronized your services, they will indicate it there, and so on and so forth. But let's move on to the other slides. If you have Google My Business, and later on we will look at how, some of the parameters or the key information that you need to key in when you are, listing on the Google My Business. So if you do it and you do it well for a Google My Business that is very much optimized or very well optimized, you typically find on your right-hand side the various pictures, and then you see your website also being indicated, and then you see the reviews and ratings by people depending on the user experience or their engagement with you or the kind of services that you have provided for them. They can give you ratings and reviews accordingly. And then the category of your business. Then within the profile itself, you have your hours of operation set up, your phone contacts. You have, you have a Q&A portion indicated. You typically have people asking questions and then you answering. But the thing is that if you have this thing done there, and you must really be frequenting it so that if anybody asks a question there, you can answer. Because if over a period questions are asked and they are not answered, Google picks it that it's not an active, um, it's not in active operation, and you will really be downgraded in terms of ranking. So if you, and this is really, for me, for the business that we operate in, a mandatory thing that one should be looking at. So if you do it and you have to optimize your Google My Business, then these are the things that you typically be doing if you do it right. So you have your name there, your address, your phone number, your website, your hours of operation. That will have to be completed, and it's a given. I mean, it's so easy to do. But there are others too that will take a little bit more time to do in terms of your category and attributes, your products and services, then your business operations, then of course the question and answer session. And then there are also other aspects that are ongoing. So you find posts being done by either people who patronize your services or reviews. And once again, the question and answers session there. The thing about it is that you can even pose a question and then provide answers accordingly anyway. So optimizing the Google My Business, if you enlist there. So as I mentioned, your name needs to be, in fact, very much identical to your office location. Typically, what you do is that the name that you put on Google My Business must be the same that you have on your office signage. It's very, very important. If you have it differently, it will be a problem for you as far as optimizing your Google My Business is concerned. In fact, indeed, when you try, going and listing on Google My Business and you provide your profile details, they do what we call verification. And as part of this process, all these things will be taken into account. So you have to make sure that your business name and addresses also, they match other listings across your web. If you have business address and details on, say, Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn and their business account, they must be the same. You don't have one on your page, website page differently, and Google My Business differently, LinkedIn differently, Facebook differently. No, they must all be the same. And that's the way Google's algorithm has been designed, and it takes into consideration some of these things. So if there are inconsistencies seen, then you are not going to rank favorably at all. And these are some of the optimization tips that one must take into consideration. And as I mentioned, you need to indicate your regular business hours, and if there are holidays, then you need to indicate them. And then if there are any customer information that is worth sharing, you can also indicate them accordingly. If you have to go about booking directly, also you can do it via Google My Business. So some of, as part of the customer journey, some people can start online and finish online. Others who can start online and finish offline. But if you have some form of partnership with some of these booking sites, or even if you can do direct booking on your site, then Google My Business is also a platform that you can take advantage of. Then you can book directly on Google. But most importantly, for this particular slide, there are other Google partners that you can also partner with. And within that site that is indicated there, www.google.com/maps/reserves/partners. If you go there, you can also have these Google partners, uh, linked up or established in one form or shape. So you can do your direct booking via those partner agencies with Google. And this is how it works. Within this particular slide, there is this operator in somewhere in Canada, Vancouver. So they have done there so beautifully that within these partners on their Google My Business profile, they have this buy ticket. So if you click on the buy ticket, it takes you directly onto this partner sites where you can have scheduled tour, the dates that you want to take advantage of, how you go about payment and everything done. You can do same if you have these partners established. Now we will move on to the other aspect of the tips that one will have to take advantage of. So you can also set up an event post, especially if you have an event that is upcoming. You can, set it up on Google My Business. Even for this webinar training session, if we choose to have it on Google My Business, we can do so. If we have an upcoming tour, or if you have upcoming tour, or any of your events that you undertake, you can, if you once you are on Google My Business, you can indicate them accordingly. All these things, they help in your ranking. So it's important that we take them seriously accordingly. So then there's also the messaging aspect. But this messaging aspect, you must have the app on your phone. So if you have it optimized on your Google My Business, then messages will, frequently be coming on your phone. So if you are the type that you can have, it will be convenient for you to be answering messages on your phone, then you can activate this button accordingly. Otherwise, if you can, then there's no need activating this button, because if you do that and messages come and you don't respond, Google will penalize you accordingly. So in recapping, let's just walk through the various steps on search engine optimization and then the keyword research strategies that we went through. We first started by looking at understanding what SEO is and why to use it. And then we also looked at understanding the various elements of SEO. Remember, we talked about on-page SEO, which we have delved much deeper into it now. But there's also the off-site SEO and then the technical SEO. We also looked at or determined the different search intents and how your customers go about doing searches on the internet. And we also look at how you can create we looked at topic clusters and how you can create topic clusters, and also embarked on how you can do your keyword research. And of course, how you can also select the best keywords, which we are going to look at an assignment shortly. Then we've also looked at how you can optimize your content, and also if you have Google My Business, how you can create it and then optimize it accordingly. So at this stage, if there is any question or comment or input that you have, you can unmute yourself and then ask that question or make that comment or the input or suggestion before we try and then look at the assignment, which will give a bit more broader understanding of some of the things that we've talked about, as far as looking at topic clusters and then search intent, and then coming up with a keyword strategy. Do we have any questions? Comments? Can you all hear me, by the way? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I was just wondering whether you can hear me. Okay, so I guess no one has comments or questions. So I'll proceed with the questions that we have on the screen and then look at it and then see if we can have even further understanding on what we just talked about. So it goes like this, using the buyer persona and customer journey map you created last,
What?
and then you remember we looked at the buyer persona and then the customer journey. So it's saying that we should define two broad topics. And this assignment is really bordered around topic cluster. So say define two broad topics and then create 10 subtopics for each of the topics. And then you define the search intent, and then if the keyword is part of the beginning of the journey, the middle of the journey, or end of the journey. Then you do a research on the volume and the difficulty of all the keywords. Those are the metrics. Then you also have to choose two subtopics and come up with content idea for them. So I will walk you through a practical session. And typically when you go through design, these are all the on-page optimization thing that you have done. And so interesting and analytical. So if you have the understanding, it looks very interesting. So you have this spreadsheet or Excel sheet, which is the template that you typically be looking at. So on the spreadsheet, you have the keywords in yellow, the volume, the difficulty, the click-through rate, the stage of the journey, the search intent, and then the business priority. So from the question that we were asked, we were to look at two broad topics. So what we have here is the primary topic, which is group tours, and then the second primary topic, that is family tours. So let's look at the first one. Those are the two broad topics anyway. So the group tours, we looked at it as a keyword, but then from what we've learned from topic clusters, by way of restructuring and organization of your content on your web pages, once you have the main topic, then you must have subtopics. So this lesson is telling us that we should develop 10 subtopics. So under group tours, what we did was to come up with those subtopics. So we have group tour ideas during Easter in Kwewu, and this was based on our customer journey and then the buyer persona that we developed earlier anyway. So then we have how group tours are organized in Easter, group tours for singles, group tour for solo travels, group travels for 30 to 40-year-olds, price for group tour package, best group tour package, Pacific Tours Accra City Tour package, where group tours are organized in Easter, what are the safety protocols for group tours? So you typically see that by way of keyword strategy, they are all long keyword search, okay, that we did. And the primary topic you typically classify as a fat head. You see that one head thing that we said, you know, if you are doing a keyword search, it is either fat head, chunky middle, or long tail keyword. So it's the same application that we are doing here. So on the keyword, if you look at the primary topic, it's group tours. It's typically a fat head thing, okay? But that's the main topic or the pillar topic. So under it, we have all these subtopics. Now, look at the various subtopics. You can see that there's a combination of all the search intents. So group tour ideas during Easter in Kwewu, and then how group tours are organized. We said earlier on there are certain keywords that if we are doing some of these keyword research, you must include. So you see the how there. Then if you proceed further, you can see price for group tour. That is also informing your bottom funnel or bottom funnel along your customer journey. If somebody wants to make a purchase, the price. So if somebody is looking for direct bookings, we have a keyword that is addressing that. So price for group tour package, okay? And then also best group tour package. So remember we talked about the search intent, the commercial aspect. If somebody wants to do some comparison, so we brought this one to here, best group tour package, to address that particular search intent. So this is also a subtopic under the primary topic. So if somebody wants to do some comparison, then he or she does a search, it will take the person there directly on the page. Then we also have the Pacific Tours Accuracy Tour. This is a typical aspect of a navigational search intent. So it is informing that, so if somebody knows the brand Pacific Tours already and the person wants to do any form of search, it will take the person to this particular page. So we move on. Where, what? Those also describe the various search intents accordingly. So you have all these things done there, but these things, you can do them in various ways, and we've talked about it earlier on. You can either do it through brainstorming session with your team, that, what typically will somebody doing any form of search on a search engine, what are the typical keywords that they'll be using? So amongst yourself, within your team, you can come up with certain keywords. That's an option. The other option is also to go or do a Google search on it, on group tours. It can give you what we call the autofill and the related searches, and then you'll be able to identify what will be the most relevant keyword search that will inform this subtopic. But even most important, you can also use the tools that we provided earlier on. So you can use a tool like Answer Public, okay, or Uber Suggest, or Keyword Planner, or Keyword Explorer to guide you on which specific keywords that you can use. One of the beautiful things that you can Answer Public, if you use Answer Public, it will give you a wide range of the kind of keywords that people are using if you key in the group tours as primary topic. So it makes your work even very easy and simpler. So you can pick on them depending on how relevant it is for your business goal. So in this case, I've explained in detail how we arrive at the keywords. So if you use, once you have this keyword established, then you use those tools that we provided earlier on, either Keyword Explorer or Keyword Planner or the MOS. So you go there, you sign on onto it. There's a free version for some tool you have to pay. Some tool will typically give you limited number of use. So you key in the keyword there. If you key in the keyword, the various metrics will be shown. So it will show you the volume of searches on that particular keyword. It will also, per month, it will also show you the difficulty associated with it in terms of how other people or your competitors are ranking using similar keywords. And it will also give you the click-through rate. So if you take you to if the search takes you to a website of this particular keyword, what are the chances in terms of click-through rate that somebody will click on it? So you can see the figures there. If you look at the search volume per month for this particular subtopic, it is 0 to 10. But we did it using a local search engine optimization. We didn't do the regular one, as in the global one. Otherwise, it would have given us thousands. So we have this at 0 to 10 per month for this group tour ideas during Easter in Kwo. The difficulty is 21. It is not too difficult. The ranking of the difficulty is from 1 to 100. So if it's at 21, then you can, reasonably say that it's not difficult, ranking against other competitors if you use something like this. Then the click-through rate too is 100%. So if you so choose this one, then the chances of people clicking on this one is 100%, which is very good. But then you also must look at the stage of your customer journey. You remember what we talked about the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, or the bottom of the funnel. Or if you look at the mapping, the mapped customer journey, we have the inspiration stage, we have the shopping stage, we have the booking stage, we have the pre-trip, the in-trip, and then the post-trip stage as part of our customer journey. So all these things are based on the customer journey that we developed. So if you are doing it, all these things must come into play in making a decision on that. So at this stage, we looked at the stage of the journey and then the keyword. So we say a lot of it is at the inspiration and then the booking stage. The inspiration stage will tell you the very top of the funnel or the beginning of the customer journey where people are looking for information. They are looking for inspiration to undertake the tour. In this case, the group tour under the subtopic, the group tour ideas during Easter in Kwewu. Then there's also the stage of the journey, the booking stage also. So that also informs that accordingly from our customer journey anyway. So you can have multiple stages for each of the subtopics anyway, as far as the stage of the journey is concerned. Then what is the search intent when you so choose this particular keyword? So the search intent is informational and transactional. So information, as I said, once again, the person will be looking for information about this particular group tour ideas during Easter in Kwewu. But at the same time, the intent behind the information is also transactional. The person also wants to purchase or book or buy a package. So once you look at all these things, and then you also juxtapose it with your business priority, then you have to rate it whether of all these analysis that you have done and given your business priority, okay, is it high business priority, a medium business priority, or low business priority? In our case, because of the strategy that we intend embarking on, we say group tour ideas during Easter in Kwewu. In the light, by way of the volume search, the difficulty, click-through rate, the stage of the journey, and then the search intent, and looking at our business strategy, it is very high for us. So we rank it high accordingly. So we move on to the subtopic, and then we do the same for that particular keyword. Then we do the same for the subtopic 3, do the same for subtopic 4, do the same for subtopic 5 up to 10. So when we finish, or when you finish, then this is where you are going to do the evaluation of all these subtopics under the group tours to see which one will be more of a business priority to you, especially if you look at those highs. So you choose the highs, but at the same time, look at the volume search, look at how difficult it is if you use that particular subtopic keyword as against what your competitors are doing, and then click through rate, and of course the stage of the journey and then the search intent. So we did all these analysis and then settled on a particular one, and I'll show you as we move on. But let's look at the family tours. This is another primary topic that we picked on, and we did the same thing, search under the various subtopics or the keywords using the tools, and then settled on these 10 subtopics. So family adventure tours, family tours to South Africa, best price for this. We incorporated all the elements that I talked to you about. So after going through all those analysis and the metrics, we also decided on particular keyword and then a particular subtopic. So if you do this, you can do it several times and then look at how it serves your business interests and all the other metrics that are there. Then you may probably end up choosing maybe 5 subtopics or 4 subtopics or 3 subtopics. And then you go and do further analysis and test on them. So in this case, we settled on group travels for 30 to 40-year-olds because by way of business priority, it was very high. By way of difficulty, it was ranking very low as against competitors. And then the search volume was also reasonably okay per month. And then the search intent was good. And then our customer journey through, we identified that accordingly. So the question then was that at what touch points do we have this subtopic keyword, good travels for 30 to 40-year-olds? So the touch points are the various interfaces by way of the channels that your customers, come into contact with in their various searches. So we say our customer will typically be looking at the travel websites, YouTube or blog sites. So the next part of the question is that what content idea you should develop around this particular keyword, looking at our buyer persona and then the customer journey or the target market that we have profiled. So what we said from this particular group travels under the main topic group tour was that our clients or customers are looking at content idea that will revolve around networking for socialization and then business opportunities. Okay. The other aspect is also that tour packages that will promote wellness. So after going through all these analysis and then metrics and so on and so forth, now you have an idea, a content idea that now you are going to sit and then write on your web pages. So you see how the flow is. So whatever that you write, then of course you must ensure that the keywords also feature in them. Then you must be bringing the anchor text in them. You must be bringing the alt text in them. And so then in terms of the title, the numbers, remember we talked about the head title should be 50 to 60. If somebody should do a search and then the search queries come, the meta description shouldn't be, of a certain character and so on and so forth. So all this informs you as to what you can do. And these are all the on-page optimization, search engine strategy that we are developing. So that's the first part. So the subtopic 2 is also Pacific Tours Family Tour Package. So what are the touch points that typically somebody doing a search on this keyword will be looking out for? So once again, we have website and we say Google My Business. The person embarking on such family tours will also, typically be going to Google My Business. And then of course the social media handles and then our LinkedIn pages. So if that's the case, then what will be the content idea that we should be developing? So we are saying that for group tours, family tour package, then we should be looking at selling our value proposition, what will make somebody choose us as against a competitor. So if we are writing the content, then we should write the content that will sell us more, that we are distinct or different from other competitors. So our content will revolve around this. And also it will also revolve around various tour packages and the reviews that people do for us. Because Pacific Tours, don't forget, it's a branded long tail keyword. So if somebody is going into such search intent, then the person needs more information about you as a company or as a brand. So you must provide, what makes you even the best option, what makes you stand out. And then of course you must provide your tour packages and then the reviews by way of recommendations that other people have done about you. So this gives you the idea of the content that you write on the page, given that particular keyword that you have settled on and with all these analysis. So, my dear colleagues, I think it's been a very long day and journey on those aspects of the digital marketing strategy that we embarked on. We looked earlier on from marketing funnel and then proceeded with the customer journey, and then we embarked on search engine optimization and then keyword research and strategy. And we've gone through all those sessions as to what has to be done as part of our digital marketing strategy, and then ended up with this practical session. So I want to believe that at least we have some reasonable insights on how search engine optimization and the keyword strategy is done. And especially when it comes to on-page optimization, as part of our search engine optimization, you have reasonable idea as to how you can go about it. So even if you have to let somebody assist you, or if you want to try your hands on, you can do that accordingly. That or this brings us to the end of this particular session. But then, as part of our digital marketing training, we have the social media marketing to cover. We have Google Analytics also to cover. And hopefully, God willing, that we'll be looking at somewhere in January. So at this stage, I will pause and then invite once again comments or questions or inputs from you. But this session, the recording will be made available and the slides will also be made available also to you. I know it's been a lot of information being given to you within this short space of time, but then that's why we have the benefits of the slides and then of course the recorded sessions of the webinar so that you can take your time and then please go over and over again. That's the only way you can get to appreciate and have even full understanding of this particular training session. So thank you very much once again, colleagues, and then please let us end this session with some comments and contributions and inputs from you. Thank you. You can unmute yourself and then begin to speak.
Hello, can you hear me, Mr. Issa?
Yes, me, I can hear you.
Yes, I want to say that you said it before that this session will be, this topic, the search engine optimization, will be very interesting, and I'm thrilled.
Ni, you can raise your voice. We can hardly hear you.
Yes, you said it earlier that this topic will be very, very interesting. The search engine optimization. And I find it so. I find it very thrilling.
Good. Good to know that. Good to know that, Ni.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Good. Good. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Alexina, do you have anything to share?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Sir, thank you very much for this lesson. It's been most grateful. Initially, when maybe I'm doing an itinerary for a client about tour, I think what you taught me is different from what I used to do here. So I'm much grateful. But I will appreciate it if I can get the hard copies of the topics treated, please. I don't know if you can help me with that.
Hard copies.
Yes, a printout copies of the topics that you treated.
Okay, so what we've done, I will send the slides. You know, the previous ones have been sent. I hope you received them. Did you receive them by mail?
Yes, I saw it in my mail.
So
I will put them in.
they are there, yes, they are there as attachments, so you can easily print them out.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And then thank you, sir.
Yeah, and of course the recordings will also be there. So
all right.
We will immediately after this we'll send the link also, and then the slides.
Okay. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. Yeah.
Guys, keep yourself well so that we meet again next year.
Yes. January will even be more exciting with the social media and then social media marketing and then the Google Analytics. That will be upcoming. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
We look forward to meeting you all once again. Thank you.
You are welcome.
And stay and keep safe.
Thank you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.